You mean you'd be ready if right now I started to say that this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Aga Comics Qua and Nestor Flores? If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it would really help us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. Wow, I think that was like a perfect... I don't even know what you call it, like letterboxing, bookending, pop. Thanks for your support. Sip.
But yes, thank you everyone for your support. It is greatly appreciated, and we love you. I probably love you more than Omega does. Omega doesn't love. He doesn't have feelings. He doesn't cry.
One of those things is true. At least.
Oh man, so Omega. Well, what's been up with you? Let's start with you here.
Well, first off, let's get the elephant out of the room. This is What's Up, not Let's Talk FGO.
Surprise!
And some of you may or may not be surprised. I even had this discussion before I turned the mics on. What even is posting? What are days? What is time? I don't fucking know. And hopefully that's... Nah, I didn't swear until like a minute in. Okay, we're safe. YouTube's not going to hurt us.
What?
Oh, actually, we can discuss that at a later point. Put a pin in that. But, yeah, we looked at our show notes, or I looked at the show notes specifically for Let's Talk FGO, and I'm like, it's a little thin. Hey, Lucky, a thought. We know they're going to do a stream.
My response was, I'm scared already.
Yeah, but it wasn't a scary thing. It was a smart thing. It was, hey, they're going to do a stream tonight in JP, like, in the middle of the night, so we can't record that late. I'm sorry. I'm not... It's the stream doesn't start until 11 p.m. Eastern, so no. But I just was like, why don't we just switch the days back around for 1 week, because our turnaround's faster anyway, so we can have something to actually talk about and not have to wait a week for it?
Yeah. No, like, literally looking at the show notes, we got the moon run, and, like, the tour, and, like, little bits of flips and flaps and sundries. It's...
I'm sure we could make a show that would last our minimum 50 minutes or whatever, but there'd be a lot of fluff in it. There'd be a lot of just faffing about trying to find stuff to talk about, which may not be entertaining, but
meh.
We like to run the show slightly more focused.
Well, I don't
am
know
I a
if we
little...
call
Actually, I am a little...
focused,
Hold on,
but...
let me double check.
Like, gasp.
I think I'm the normal volume for us, but hold on. Lucky, say some stuff to me.
I'm going to say some stuff to you.
All right. Yeah, your sound waves are a little smaller than normal. Hold on. I'll step back my microphone, and maybe we'll be evened out a little. I've been recording lots of videos this week, so I'm fucking whatever. I sound like me to me. Am I loud? Am I too loud? Fuck it. I'll step it back and post. All right. Now that our live audio editing is out of the way, yes, we like Let's Talk FGO to be slightly more focused. Like, obviously, our tangenting is like a feature, not a bug. But
I would just say yes.
We deliberately have the show What's Up just so we can talk about fucking whatever for however long we like, so.
That's how we do.
Yeah. Oh, so speaking of the swearing thing, YouTube actually posted a video the other day, which was very interesting because it was like, basically how or when you can swear and not be demonetized because it's not advertiser friendly. Which was kind of funny to see. So basically, they were like, "Don't swear in the title, thumbnail, or beginning of your video." The beginning's a little vague, but they've said at about the 30-second mark, basically what would be in proximity to an ad playing. And I don't think we've ever had that problem with YouTube, because they clarified that words like hell and damn are not considered profanity in this sense, because they're longer standing words which may or may not have a, cussing context. But the classics, including some weird ones like douchebags on there, they're like, you watch out. And if you want to still swear, try and censor yourself. But I'm just like, fuck it, I'm not going to censor. You want me to put beeps in 2 hours of audio? Fuck no. God.
Dude, I'm a fucking sailor, man. Swearing is in my blood.
Yeah. I was raised on profane internet comedies who made shitload of money and are wildly successful now, so go fuck yourself, YouTube. Nah, I'm kidding. I understand what they're after. They are trying to build relationship with advertisers, because if the advertisers all go away like they threaten to, then YouTube is done. Because that's basically their like, they kind of have some other stuff with like the premium, but most of their ad rev or revenue period is in ads. So I understand them. I understand them trying to make that hustle just like we are.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of the hustle, any word on that monetization?
I only just submitted it again, so we'll see. I did try a different trick this time. I realized that one of the things it makes you do is set your default monetization. And of course, me being me at the time, I was like, monetize everything. This time I set it to monetize none by default, so maybe that will change whatever YouTube's approach is, because honestly, we don't need to monetize everything. Like old stuff, we don't need to monetize that. When we were dumb and didn't know what we were doing, that's fine. Nobody's watching those videos anymore.
I still say we're dumb and don't know what we're doing.
Arguable. But, you know, hopefully they look more at like future-looking videos, and I'm like, I'm not going to like go back into the I mean, I'll try some of the back catalog stuff, but I'm not sold on that. That's not our intent. We just want to going forward try and expand this stuff. But yeah, it's still under review. I only just turned it around the other day.
Oh, okay. Right.
But
that's good.
I'm trying.
Soon we'll be making YouTube million. Not really, but we can.
Because despite what YouTube says, when they say that the size of your channel doesn't matter, they're lying.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly getting bigger. So yeah, that's kind of just. I guess you can't tell. Well, actually, I can look at the catalog. This was like the first real week of working on stuff I've had basically since the holidays, and I've been pretty busy with like video shooting, especially because to try and promote the monetization thing, I've been a little more, I don't know, visually unique, and trying to like not just reuse literal stock images all the time, and like throw in additional visual bits and bobs, so it's not just what some of my older videos were, which is just, here's a picture of a thing, I'm going to talk over it, just in case that's not good enough. You know, there's motion and graphics and stuff now. But that adds, you know, more to the development time, because then I have to make assets.
Yeah, making assets is hard.
I mean, for you it's hard because you actually try. I just do Google Slides, mostly. But it takes me like a good 10 minutes to find the theme I want. I mean, honestly, I try, but I have limits to what tech I can use. And honestly, I don't... Since I started doing, like, Star Wars videos, which I've been doing a long time. I was doing stuff for X-Wing since before we started doing Let's Talk FGO. And, you know, I started doing videos for Star Wars Legion before Legion was out. That was one of our biggest videos for a long time, was just, I pulled together from, like, 5 different sources, hey, here's what we know about this game that's coming out. And it actually got searched a lot.
Nice.
And it takes them a while to get some momentum, but those videos tend to do okay. I also shot another L5R video essay, which was an hour and 10 minutes of just me talking. With some slides, but me talking about stuff. And I'm probably going to do more. I suppose I can use that to transition into L5R, because I got a couple different things to talk about there. So, the first stuff, I just saw you pull that screen cap, Lucky. So the first off is that, in fact, the day I recorded a video bitching about Emerald Empire not being available in PDF, it became available in PDF later. So that's fun. That's really great. I want to kind of do maybe a longer form review of the book as like a standalone video, but just in general, my thoughts. It's really good. Oh my god, guys. Like, there's so just much good stuff in here. It's like, anytime you have a question about what your daily life as a player character in this samurai setting is supposed to be like, there's an answer in here somewhere. It talks about castles, courts, you know, cities, small villages, talks about stuff that happens in shrines or monasteries, stuff that's happening just, you know, out in the wilderness in the middle of nowhere, all kinds of stuff. And every section has, you know, plot hooks, themes, major NPCs. Some of them have little adventure seeds, which is basically like, here's the bullet point version of a 3-act outline, which is like, here, let me pull up one exactly so I can see the actual terms they use. But it's like, yeah, it's like hook, rising action, climax, and it's just a sidebar. It's got like those 3 points, like a paragraph of each. Boom. And it's just so good. It's such a good read too. So that's why I want to talk more about it in context, and like, review about all the sections and what kind of stuff they talk about. But it's great. I heartily recommend it. Anybody who is new or possibly even old to the Legend of the Five Rings setting, pick it up, check it out. It's got some player options in the back. Lots of fun stuff. And also, another brand new thing that happened was that just today they announced another adventure for L5R, which they just released. It was when they were running at conventions the last year, so some people may have heard of it. It's called The Wedding at Kyoto Castle. Eerily similar to the own introductory low-level adventure I designed for myself, and having never read or played this module, which also involved a wedding. Theirs is slightly more dramatic and higher scale, which I guess is cool for a convention, but at the same time, I'm like, on the other hand, that's a lot of high-stakes shit. But yeah, I read it over. It's cool. And actually, who knows? I might get to run my Big Fat Rokugani readings soon. I've got a couple of responses from fans for once. To actually get a couple of people interested, get a bigger party. I'll have to like just find some time and sort it out. Yeah. Though also, speaking of tabletops, we didn't get to it yet, but I've teased you that you guys are going to hate me again for the next operation.
Yeah. Honestly, if we're feeling like up to it, I'm going to see if Marth wants to maybe play today, because I don't know. Do you got anything going on later today?
I mean, other than continuing to attack Kingdom Hearts 2 with a hatchet that is time, no. Man.
Because I do want to, like, get this... as I said, like, I do like playing, and I have, like, nothing but time right now. So... I definitely want to get into play while I can, because I'm still doing the job hunt.
Yep. So, yeah, we can... after we record and get this set up, I mean, obviously this has to go through rendering and stuff, because I can't make a new recording session while it's rendering the last one, but...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Dirt.
I don't know. It depends on how long this takes and how long this episode is. How far are we right now? 12 minutes. Will we actually have a short What's Up today? I don't know. So speaking of having nothing but free time, though, Lucky, what are you doing with your time? Because you've astonished a few people in our community.
Oh, man. So, yeah... So one of the things I did, as I tell like everybody, like especially in the anime and manga channel, my favorite anime OST composer, the original soundtrack, is Hiroyuki Sawano. As I said, he's done lots. He has very, very memorable tracks, and he's done like opening endings, full OSTs. You might have heard his stuff in like Recreators, Attack on Titan, Outnote Zero. Guilty Crown, let's see here, The Seven Deadly Sins, and several others. But back in 2016, it wasn't just 2016, he also did the OST for Gundam 0096, Unicorn. And I like Gundam, but I don't watch a lot of Gundam, because watching Gundam is, you're going to get down into a lot of them, you're going to get down into a rabbit hole of ideals, politics, and, intense mecha robot fighting. I never feel like it's something that you can really, just go into half-heartedly and get a good experience out of it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Gundam. Like, Gundam hits on a lot of themes I love, also with giant robots, but yeah, at the same time, it always feels like there's a bit of a build-up there. There's like, you don't just go casually watching Gundam.
No. And so, like, I had all this time, and, like, we have a couple, like big Gundam fans in our Discord, and they, like, buy and assemble model kits. They, like, do this. And I remember they had this big conversation about, like, all these good Gundam titles. And I couldn't remember if it was good or bad, but I remember 0096 coming up, and someone mentioning that the OST was by my boy Sawano. So I was all like, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and watch this. So I looked it up. It was on Crunchyroll. 22 episodes. I sat down at the evening of one day, and I had finished it by the evening of the second day. And I told people, and they're like, "Wait, what? I thought you were only on like episode 8 yesterday." They're like, "Yeah, I kept watching." Like, I like anime. The more I like an anime, the more I'm gonna sit down and watch it. And as I said, 0096, it's kind of fucking weird, but I don't say that in a bad way. It's like it's something that, you know, the main character's kind of whiny and undependable and stuff like that, but it's in the way that allows him to do character growth and, you know, finally his path. Because here's the thing about character development. For there to be character development, there has to be kind of a lack of character to begin with. It's like, you need something to develop into, and that's something that does well. Like, the mech battles were, like, oh my god, like, this came out, 0096 came out in, like, 2016, and it was basically a rehash of an OVA, which it came out earlier. But, oh my god, the animation was fucking amazing, and with everything down to, Sawano's, music works, it was good. It was good mecha action. It made me sad because the best sister, she didn't make it. I was like, and like, I got attached to her like real quick as soon as I met her, and I was like, oh my god, I love this girl. And people are like, oh yeah, she's best girl, and no one said anything. And then when I got to the part itself, people are all like, yeah, we knew this was gonna happen. We couldn't say anything. We were sad. I was like, ugh, I cry. But yeah, no, so that's the major thing. I've also been like watching, like, I've been jumping around a lot of series, like a lot of just weird series, like Hayore Narako-san. Fucking my mental choices are interfering with my love life. My teen romantic comedy is messed up as I expected. You know, just a bunch of weird ones. Outbreak Company. Then I've just been rewatching a few things, but I've been trying to keep on top with upcoming anime. Well, stuff that's on, I can watch on my PS4 at least anyway. Like Dororo, that's some good shit. That just came out with episode 2 recently. Let's see here. Magical Girl Asuka had episode 2 come out recently. I haven't watched it, but I'm a little nervous because I don't know if we can blame Gen Urobuchi for this, the Urobutcher. But fucked up magical girls is definitely becoming a genre now.
I mean, I think it was a thing for a while. I remember when I was young and on the internet, a like what was thought of as a big deal, like fan work, a deconstruction was Sailor Nothing. Don't know if you ever read that. It was
I haven't.
Pseudo fan fiction, you know, / original web fiction. And it was that. It was a dark, deconstructive tale about how kind of fucked up being a magical girl should be.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that was always something that lurked in the back of everybody's, like, perceptions. Because, I mean, I think that happens a lot, is you get, like, deconstructions and stuff.
Well, yeah, it always happens, but there's always that one, I would see that one instant that basically propels it from the back of the mind to the front of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you're saying, that was like, you said it was a web fiction, a web comic kind of thing. It's like, Madoka Magica was like, oh no, we're gonna put a whole bunch of fucking, like, several $1 million worth of money to show fucked up magical girls in a cute way and completely destroy everyone's heart.
Yeah. And I mean, if you wanna, we can totally derail the show by deconstructing magical girl fiction right now. If you want to think about it, it is kind of fucked up. It's like a lot of the problems with the reason why the mecha genre is constantly being constructed and deconstructed and reconstructed. Child soldiers is rough. That is a rough concept to deal with, and in real life, it's very emotionally impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's one of the reasons why I'm, like, really into Magical Girl Asuka right now, because, like, this girl, the main character, Asuka, like, has already fought, like, you know, whatever great evil there was. People died, and now she's trying to live a normal life away from everything. Her parents were murdered by these things. and she's having literally like PTSD episodes as she's trying to readjust, and she's getting like, I think she's getting drawn back into it. And I'm just all like, that's amazing. Like very few shows actually like I can't think of any off the top of my head actually deal with something of what happens afterwards. So that's why I'm really excited about this. But yeah, it's like one of those things, like when you're a kid, you're still developing, you're trying to figure out things. Like, you're not desensitized to the world as, you know, you would be an adult.
Right, you have no psychological hardening until suddenly you have psychological hardening, and that's really messed up for you.
Yeah, you should not be like a first year in high school and, you know, be able to do the 1,000-yard stare.
That's something I like a lot. Something I like a lot with mecha stories too is kind of like, because that's always been a thing for some reason, right? Just because because a lot of them started as if you think about it, the quote unquote shonen genre, the style of shonen targeted manga and anime is young boys, literally. So it's like, you know, 12 plus demographics or even below 12. So obviously that's probably why a lot of those characters are written to be of a accessible age to the audience or the target audience. But man, that's real. That's always been real messed up. And sometimes, Evangelion, the authors actually look at this in a way that is like, yeah, no, that's real messed up. That's one of the reasons why, as much as I have thoughts and feelings about Evangelion, lots of ways. One of the reasons why I always really liked and deeply regret I never got around to trying to run or play it properly. Adeptus Evangelion, which started as a Dark Heresy, the 40k RPG hack, but eventually became kind of its own thing in a similar system. But it was an entirely fan-made RPG to play Evangelion as kind of your own setting, which I always heard lots of interesting stories about, and I was like, God, I really want to try this. Instead, I wrote my own mecha RPG that I'm never going to run. Rip me. But that was when I wrote Sky of Hope, I deliberately wrote it as kind of a reconstruction too. At the same time, goddamn, do I just love these stories though. So I came up with a reason for pilots to be young, but also at the same time I was like, so core themes and tropes here. Nobody's forced to do this. The adults are all actually supposed to look out for you. War sucks, but you can recover. It is about recovering and moving on and building a brighter future. Though horrible, terrible things can happen to you because I put rules for like psychological trauma and cybernetics and stuff in there and all kinds of fun stuff, but still.
Yeah, whenever I finally get Torchlight off the ground, you're all nodding for a good time.
Yeah, well.
But speaking of like child soldiers and stuff, this is actually something I just realized today as I was browsing through Twitter. But basically, K.A. Applegate, the author of Animorphs, basically set up
child soldier series.
Yeah, basically set it up so that you can download the entire ebook series for free. Like, I linked it in our Discord books channel, but yeah, every book available for download in, you know, an EPUB format. And, you know, thinking about that, like, that was a series I grew up with. Like, I started that series in elementary school, like, and got through it, like, through middle school. Like, you know, so those were, like, formative fucking years for me. And I'm just, like, and I think about it as, like, I think about it now, and I'm like, oh my god, what did I read? Like, it was, like, it starts out something else, like, yeah, we're gonna go save the world, to it's, like, we're gonna go save the world, and we're gonna, you know, high five, backslapping, and then you come back to, it's like, we don't know if we're actually gonna survive this, but we have to do this because no one else can. And it's just like, oh my god, like, 13-year-old kids should not have to go through this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, it's probably not, aged well, because, as I said, it's, well, maybe it has. I haven't read it again. I'm just, like, curious about it, but, as I said, it was written back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So, you know, it was, like, pre 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of a different time. So, I don't know how it will stand up to, like, sensibilities now. But it's still, like, thinking about that, like, all that reading, and just like, man, these kids has it rough. And I, like, but the full weight of it, like, just clicks with you when you're an adult. It's like, what if these kids become They're literally child soldiers. They are a war machine fighting a guerrilla war that no one will believe them about. Like, that's rough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of these kids will ever be okay, like, ever again. Some of them just won't be ever again.
That was another thing I really like. That was a series I wanted to get into, but I stopped myself after like one. I thought about briefly getting into reading, and I might still do it if I have time, but I don't have time right now. My recurring theme for this episode is I don't have any. Lucky's full of time. I don't have any fucking time. Like right now, technically, if I was maintaining my release schedule, I'd be shooting a video about X-Wing right now, but I'm not gonna right away, and I might not at all, just because it would be a lot of work for a very minimal video. But I just got on a lark to re-listen because I prefer the audiobook because it's not like a full cast production, but it's semi that. It has like different readers for different characters and viewpoints at times, but not literally every person has a different voice. But it was for Ender's Game, which that was a formative book for me at about, I want to say, age 12 or 13. I read that or listened to it. I'm not sure which. Probably listened. I listened to lots of audiobooks in my history personally. Maybe I read it later. That's also basically about child soldiers, and that definitely imparted some themes to me. And that's something that sticks with in some of the parallel series of books, usually the Ender Shadow series, which is about, because to semi-spoil the end of a book that's been out like 20 years, I want to say, and also had a movie adaptation that was so accurate to the book, I literally couldn't watch the movie because I was like, there's no tension for me here. This adaptation is so on point, I know literally what's going to happen all the time. Which is okay. That means the movie was good, it just didn't do anything for me as a longtime fan of the book. But at the end, Ender fucks off to relativistically travel through space, so he spends like 80 years at near light speed and doesn't hardly age at all, while lots of other shit happens back on Earth, so he doesn't have to deal with any of his problems. All of his friends from the battle school and command school, all those kids, they basically stay behind on Earth and become renowned military commanders at age, 12 to 15. And so I've never really deep dived too hard on that series, but I want to sometime just because that's totally what we're talking about. Like, these kids were geniuses who were raised to save the world, basically, to be military commanders in a desperate fight for human survival. That fight stops. Their leader, their commander who tied them all together, has fucked off to another solar system and will be out of touch for, well, not out of touch because they have faster than light radio, but physically he's gone for a long ass time. So they just have to deal with the fact that they are child soldiers with a military mindset, the greatest military minds of their age, at, like I said, at, early teens age, and it's a very interesting subject. But God, there's so much reading I want to do right now that I just don't have time for. I'm like halfway through a book. I said this off mic, but I'll say it again now. I am deep into Kingdom Hearts 2. I am like 50 hours in. I'm in the world that never was. I could probably literally turn on, flip over to the game because my PS4 is already on. I could flip over. I could probably mute my TV and beat the game by the time we finish doing this episode. That won't be done then because there's still some stuff lingering, but I could do it. But I think after I do a lot of because there's still plenty of like final mix stuff I need to work through because that's, a whole thing that I never got to experience, like I said. So I got like one more absent silhouette to beat, lots of other stuff to get through, the Cavern of Remembrance, all kinds of stuff to synthesize, all that shit. Gummy levels to beat, because gummies are super fun in this. But I think I want to take, after I finish Kingdom Hearts 2 to my satisfaction, I think I'm going to take a short break between that and diving into Birth by Sleep Final Mix to just catch up on some stuff I want to do. Like I said, I got a book that I talked about last week, couple weeks ago, whenever we do shows. I'm like halfway through. I need to finish that at least. I got some other stuff I might want to read in my spare time. I got some webcomics I want to go back through just because I feel like it. I used to read a lot of webcomics, now I don't anymore just because it got to be kind of annoying and burdensome to check like every day certain websites all the time. You got to go through like 5 to check up on everybody daily. Mm-hmm. So I just was like, I'm just not going to do this anymore. And if I like a webcomic and I think about it, I'll go back and read it. And I do that even for completed stuff. Like, sometimes I think about Bob and George, the Mega Man Sprite comic, which to me was super impactful. I actually got into sprite editing for a while. I never had a good enough idea to make a solid comic about it, but, like, I learned those skills just because I thought it was an interesting medium. But I'll just go back and reread parts of that just because I feel like it, and I liked it a lot. It was one of those things that I did regularly, like every day when it updated when I was younger. I'll catch up on anime too when I do that. That's not going to take me long. I just need to sit down and be like, I will now watch anime, as opposed to thinking about, but I really need to beat up some nobodies to level up final form so I can get more glide.
More glide.
I need higher levels of glide. I can't get all the fucking puzzle pieces. I can't believe I'm so invested in it, but they got me. I'm like, at first I was like, all right, what's this bullshit puzzle mechanic? But then I'm like, I need those fucking pieces. Some of these pieces have been mocking me since the game started. And I'm like, oh, I see. I gotta get glide to get you. And it's like, no, you need to get like extra glide, motherfucker. I'm like, God damn it. I'll be back.
Rip.
I'll be back in 50 levels. I'll be back for you. I'm gonna get you. But I also...
Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, I did manage to scrape enough money to get the pre-order 3, so I will be on that fucking train.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be ready to start 3 right away when it comes out. I'll probably be in, like, the middle of, like, Dream Drop Distance or something dumb like that. But I'll have it at least.
Like, they said they're going to have, like, fuck, I forgot what they fucking called it.
Day 1 patch?
But, like... Yeah, they're gonna have a fucking day 1 patch that gives you, like, that'll give you, like, some, I think they actually said it's gonna be, like, some videos or something, like, explaining the previous games and what the fuck's going on. So, I'm gonna go in using that and see, like, how much that covers.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, other than that, but
yeah, so I'm looking at the amount of time I'm spending doing stuff, and I'm like, okay, I need to balance this out a little bit better. Like, I could have done a Wanted Orion, but then I was like, nah, I don't need to do that. Probably nobody would watch that fucking video.
Probably not, no.
It's weird. Like, I have no idea what Wanteds are going to be good. Like, our Wanted Jolter is still super good and, like, highly rated. Like, that's outcompeted episodes of Let's Talk FGO. But, like, Gramps and Merlin didn't do nearly that tight. I don't know. It's weird. Also, like, Merlin shot up there really fast, but eventually, First Hassan also is now about the same number of views. It just took a few more days to get there. It's really interesting watching the views and, like, interactions crawl up for some of these videos. I will definitely do a Wanted on Dantes because he is actually limited, and that might actually be cool. I can talk about his future buffs versus his current state. But yeah, so I just need to take some time so I can read and watch stuff on TV. Like I did probably a dumb thing. I don't know if it was before I got my Kingdom Hearts, the story so far, or maybe it was a little after while I was in the middle of stuff. But I went on Netflix and I picked a bunch of series that they recommended and just sat them in my list. So now my Netflix list is even more full of stuff. And I'm like, I'll watch this sometime. Like that Tidying Up with Mary Kondo show has like been popping in the collective unconsciousness here. It's getting memed and stuff, and I'm like, yeah. I could watch that. I could see if that's a thing.
Like, I don't want to watch it because I don't want to feel like my room is complete shite. I like my room. My room is.
I don't know.
nerdy.
I feel like, judging from what people have said about it, because I haven't had time to watch the show, I said this to you, in fact, on Discord, where I was like, Lucky, I'm pretty sure if it's in your room, it brings you joy, so you'd be fine. Because that seems to be a lot of her focus, is making sure people figure out what they actually like and care about, and if you don't actually care about stuff, get rid of it. Pack it up, sell it, whatever it is she recommends, but just move out of your life so you can get it organized. That said, I believe she's got some quotes about books that I know some book people are not going to like. I think it was something unless it really brings you joy, only own 30 books. And I'm like, just 30?
Just 30? Like, I have I have more than 30 books in my room.
I mean, I have shelves and cabinets and desk space just so I can hold more books. Which some of them are kind of like a display thing just to be like, yeah, I own this book. I could look at it any time if I need to. But some of them are genuinely because a lot of those, I really just love those books and I want to hold on to them. Listen, I had a hurricane once and our power was out for like a week. I spent a lot of time listening to old audiobooks on using like batteries and reading because I had fucking nothing. It was nothing to do but sit and be hot. So, yeah, no, like, I totally understand the concept of books for a rainy day.
Oh, yeah.
But that's another thing. Here's another weird thing that I may or may not do. But I was just browsing around and I heard from somebody, the first 3 Fast and Furious movies are available on Netflix right now. If you've never seen them or need to watch them again.
I don't know.
That's pretty... Like, I don't know if I got time for that. Like, I think that's the only ones I've seen of the series of the first 3. Just because I was a contemporary young person. I don't even know when the fuck the first movies came out, but I was in that time frame to be into those movies. I played Need for Speed Underground. That game was great. Fuck, I missed that. Do you Need for Speed? Can you make a decent game again that I actually care about and want to buy?
What was the latest one that came out? Need for Speed.
No idea what the subtitle was. It was the thing with the multiple people and the trailers and the whatnot.
Yeah. I don't know.
I just would like the tight, like, street racing stuff, but I think, unfortunately, much like the nature of the Fast and Furious movies, people have moved towards a more action-packed sequel. Though also another thing that in terms of time I don't have, and at the moment money I don't have, but also apparently, I forgot about this, but Ace Combat 7's coming out soon, if it's not out already. I've heard reviews are rolling in, and I'm like, fuck, there's another thing I need to buy. Because guess what, guys? I like planes. Actually, I like fighter jets, but, you know, we can throw planes in there. I was entranced by fiction at a young age. I reread the X-Wing books regularly. I love fighter planes. I've seen Top Gun many times. Still good, by the way. A little cheesy, but I think it was always cheesy. The F-14 is an amazing aircraft. Anyway, those are just random me thoughts as I ramble on about my likes and all the time I want to spend that I don't spend. Lucky, do you have anything that you wanna hit up there? Any topics you thought of?
Well, I don't know, like how topical, but we definitely got there's a couple movie trailers that have come out that have caught my eye. They finally released the movie trailer for Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Yep.
Which looks pretty damn good, but you know it's another goddamn Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, so I'm like, gonna Marvel. Marvel's gonna Marvel.
Mm-hmm. The Spider-Man movies are amazing.
They are good. So it's like, I'm excited. I'm going to go see it.
Always felt a deep spiritual kinship with Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. But a trailer that just came out yesterday, though, is the John Wick 3 trailer. And, boy howdy, let me tell you, I love me some John Wick. I think it's like one of Keanu Reeves' like best roles in like recent history.
Probably. Keanu Reeves is a vampire though, right? Like,
yeah.
Has he?
Yeah, no.
Other than now that he has like stubble, he has facial hair. And his hair's longer. He looks almost exactly like he looked in The Matrix, which, by the way, was a long ass time ago. Yeah, I don't know. John Wick's interesting. I never got around to seeing the sequel. I probably should sometime. I watched the first one. I liked it a lot, but at the same time, I also didn't like it because I'm nitpicky and just knowing some things about actual firearm usage and kind of being annoyed by lots of like typical, almost like stereotypes or like misconceptions about them. The parts of the movie just annoy me just because it's like that's not real at all. Like I know too much. I have no suspension of disbelief. I'm like, there's no recoil. Those effects are all CG. It's just, it looks super fake to me in parts with some of the gunplay, and I'm just like, I can't get over this. I don't know. If it sounds like, though, that the sequels get more ridiculous, which might be enough for me.
Like, I don't know. I mean, Keanu Reeves has gone through actual, like, what was it, like SWAT training? Like, there's a video of him like going.
Yeah, like I get like his movements and stuff aren't bad. I'm just talking about the way that practically, because it's a movie film, the way they handle effects. Like you're like, yeah, that gun's not actually firing. That's a CG bop and stuff. And I'm sure it's because firing that many blanks in close proximity to people in these stunts would be dangerous. But it's still, to me, it's like, yeah, it's not real.
Let's see.
But like I said, who knows? If they, you know me, I've said this before. I love stylization. If you get even more stylized, that works for me. Speaking of movies, that also reminds me. I wonder if I should watch Ran sometime. By Akira Kurosawa, the story that he didn't realize he was ripping off King Lear until somebody told him, and he's like, well, I'm just going to make it even better. So it's Japanese King Lear. It's from the 80s. Which makes it sound super cool and on theme for stuff I'm doing, but at the same time also super depressing. Because, oh my god, wow. If you're not familiar with King Lear, one of Shakespeare's classics, Billy Shakes, that's one of the ones that sucks the most at the end.
Oh god, really?
Yeah, most of the characters are dead or gonna die, including all the ones you liked. So much so that there was a later rewrite to the ending of the play where it turns out happy that was popular for centuries. It wasn't until, I think, post one of the world wars where people were jaded and cynical and used to the world being shit, aka postmodernism, that they were like, bring back the original ending where everybody dies and everything sucks.
Oh, God.
But hey, that's how we are sometimes. I've always said that my favorite Shakespeare play is A Midsummer Night's Dream, just because that is actually a comedy, and it ends well. And it's really funny. And there are fairies in it. It's rad. Love Midsummer's Night. Though I have seen some very entertaining performances of Romeo and Juliet. Actually, honestly, I think we've talked before on like Let's Talk FGO, because Shakespeare's an actual character in Fate. Good for him. Mm-hmm. Just how good Billy Shakes is sometimes. Like, a lot of his like overly dramatic writing switches back and forth so easily from comedy to tragedy or drama and back, and it's really just such great classic plots. Shakespeare did so many things you don't even know.
I don't know.
He wrote a lot. I'm not even familiar. Like, I am not a Shakespearean scholar. They didn't actually make us in school study too much. Like, sure, there was like, hey, Shakespeare was in this time period. He was a big deal. But like when I took 2 semesters of humanities, we did not focus on that. But he wrote a fucking lot. The Tempest is also interesting. He did a lot of interesting work, but that's what happens when you write a lot, is you get that shotgun effect. Some of these will be hits. Oh, you know what we could talk about? We could talk about somebody who's not shotgunning things right now. We could talk about EA and how they're not making Star Wars games again. Yeah, so EA has announced they've canceled another Star Wars game. And I really gotta wonder, at what point have they spent more money or lost more money in trying to develop games and not releasing them than just releasing a game that was only okay? Like, because I'm sure that EA knows that cost-benefit analysis and likes to dance on it, but goddamn, like, I feel like so many projects have either been outright canceled or were reworked and, you know, retooled a couple times and eventually canceled and stuff, and it's just such a shame. Because these motherfuckers bought an exclusive 10-year license, shoveling out God knows how much money to Lucasfilm and Disney, so that they could, for 10 years, have exclusive rights to produce video games for this franchise. And how many video games have they actually released on something other than mobile? 2. And they're not even that great. I mean, the EA's take on the Battlefront series, you know, with DICE is, it's fun enough, but it's just,
It's not Star Wars. It's not an epic.
Yeah, it's not the level people wanted from those games. Like, there's a little too much of them trying to figure out whatever the fuck their monetization model is. like it's weird. EA, I'm sure, is as confused as us because they're looking at their sports games, which they release the same thing every year, basically, with just slight tech adjustments because the development turnaround time is less than a year. And they make loads of money, they make loads of sales, their microtransactions or whatever monetization schemes, I guess, work because they keep doing them. At the very least, nobody seems to... At least none of the people actually playing these games really seem to complain. Like, gaming pundits will complain about, hey, by the way, EA's got some exploitive, dumb-as-fuck microtransaction stuff. But that doesn't actually hurt their bottom line. But when they try to apply it to Star Wars, people are actually incensed and actually outraged and don't buy the game, and EA's stock price drops or whatever. And they actually got a phone call from Disney, probably, or Lucasfilm, which was like, hey, you guys are hurting our brand. Stop. So I'm sure it's very confusing for them as like a high-level corporate publisher trying to figure out what projects to like back and support. But God, guys, if you could just find another mediocre pass like the Battlefront games and just start pitching them, like actually throwing the ball, you might do okay. But I don't know. Maybe EA doesn't know how not to make expensive blowout AAA games anymore, which could be their problem.
Oh my god, just be like Devolver Digital and just throw whatever fucking looks crazy and good out.
Yeah. And I think EA's been more productive on their mobile, but a lot of their mobile games are working directly with Disney Interactive. Like, so they're not even necessarily like doing their usual controlling interest as a publisher. It's just they license it out, like they license the license back and let the actual developers who technically own the IP work on them. It's just so weird. Like, I don't even know what kind of Star Wars game I want right now, but I would like them to at least try and to like I say, when I say try, to actually release something. And some people might be like, but Omega, didn't you just say that they tried with Battlefront and it sucked? I'm like, honestly, the games themselves don't suck. It's just all the skeleton they built around them kind of suck. People's
like, honestly, it's a game. It's the game might not, like, the way I put it, the game might not suck, gameplays wise, but it's literally just like a Call of Duty or it's a Battlefield with Star Wars slapped on top of it.
Only it's not a Battlefield, because at least in the first one, because the first one wasn't nearly as fiddly as Battlefield. Because let's be real, Battlefront has always just been Battlefield, but Star Wars. But Battlefield games lately have had like actual systems and different fiddly bits and stuff that people come to expect. Like, you get classes, you can manage a couple slots and get some character customization in there. You can kind of customize your guns sometimes and stuff. They have different modes for vehicles, which may or may not be cool. Like the original Battlefront games made by LucasArts and Pandemic or THQ were like, get vehicles on maps and stuff, not as like weird arcadey power-ups. The first one was way too casual, right? Like it was, people wanted a more robust experience, and they didn't. It just wasn't there. The only thing that was there was buy fucking power-up booster packs and skins. So that was why that first one was disappointing. And I haven't gotten around to playing the second one, but even with the addition of like different classes and stuff, and maybe some more weapon options and stuff, it still sounds like it's very shallow. They've kind of worked out the update scheme to be like, all right, now we're gonna bring in maps from this thing, and we're gonna introduce new heroes and stuff. But it still it still sounds like fundamentally it's a little bit not what people wanted. Like, it's not got enough bite as a game. I mean, they tried. They put a campaign in it. People are somewhat upset about that campaign for stuff. For reasons. I mean, I know the whole thing, so I could spoil it, but I don't know if that's appropriate. So whatever. That's like, and also people's distaste of it is entirely on them, right? Like, I don't know. Like, it it does say a lot about how people perceive the Star Wars universe, which is different to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But, like, this is something that's always interesting to me, because I say this a lot, because EA is whatever the reverse of not killing it is. They are definitely not killing it right now. But to me, Fantasy Flight, who have the tabletop license, they've renewed it. They had it before the buyout. They are killing it. Their RPG products are really on point. You know, Rise of the Separatists should be soon. I think it's on the boat or something. We will definitely have to play some Clone Wars games if we get that out. I'll have to, like, double-check all my indexes and stuff and make sure they're up to date, so Lucky can buy whatever fun toys he thinks he needs.
Oh, yeah.
Their miniatures games are pretty solid. Like, I mean, to me, the actual X-Wing community on their X-Wing forums is pretty shitty, but the game itself is pretty fun and cool, and they're doing lots of fun stuff with it. As a game that was around for, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years before they moved to a second edition, there's a lot of, like, community accretion built up where just people have their own thoughts and feelings about the game, and just when those two don't match up, they butt heads a lot, and they butt heads in dumb internet ways.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just like I don't give a flip about the X-Wing community. I still like the game fundamentally. Like, they did a lot of good things with second edition. It's just there's a lot of weird, dumb arguments, and it turns into people just being asshats on the internet. Luckily, at the moment, Legion is newer and has a much more robust release schedule, so people have less time to complain about stuff. They're killing it with that game. Like, I did a video on this, but they just previewed they're releasing some new heavy units. They're going to release a X-34 Landspeeder Mini, which is the same model that Luke had in A New Hope, but now it's been radicalized. You can put a Twi'lek with a rocket launcher in the back seat. I put, like, a gun on the front and stuff, so it's basically like a technical. It's like taking a Toyota truck and sticking a machine gun in the back. So that's pretty rad for Rebels. What the Empire's getting is the Occupier tank from Rogue One in a very lovely sculpt, which just, it looks pretty boss. As much as people can complain about the fact that it's called a tank when it's mostly an armored flatbed, it's still really, really baller miniature, and it looks like a really cool unit. And so, like, and also I'm kind of annoyed because EA has this exclusive license. It's reportedly hard for Fantasy Flight to do, like, digital versions of their stuff, which is a shame. Like, if they could do, like, more official digital markets and get into that spread. But hey, whatever. I just really love Star Wars. And I want more Star Wars, and I will continue to talk about Star Wars. You can't stop me, because I love making those videos.
Like, my biggest upset is when EA basically shut down Visceral Games. Visceral, you know, known for, whether you like them or you hate them, known for the Dead Space series. They were going to be doing a Star Wars game, and they brought on, like, the story, I think it was the story writer who did Uncharted. So I was expecting, like, Dead Space kind of gameplay with Uncharted kind of story. And I was fucking hype.
Yeah.
Like, I was real hype. And then EA's like, nah, Visceral, you're done. You're done. And I'm like, no! It's like, EA, you cad!
Yeah, and I have heard that some of their concerns were that, like, Lucasfilm's licensing department was a little micromanagey. But at the same time, just, I don't know, I feel like EA has these big concerns, and, like, to the consumers, they don't really matter. Like, what EA is concerned about is not what the consumers are concerned about, and first and foremost, you have to sell video games, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all your monetization nonsense and your games as a service and your fancy pants shareholder meetings, they don't mean anything if you can't sell a product. And to sell products, you have to make products. So I don't know. Like I understand. We have very frequently played devil's advocate to big businesses making big business moves as like, hey, listen, business is its own thing. It is not necessarily how you expect, like, interaction between two humans to go, right? Like, it's a big complex system that has complex needs, but you you still have to make a product and sell it in a way that people want to buy it and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And just, to me, it's like I said this when we started this conversation, at what point do you spend more money figuring out this product's not going to make as much money as you'd like, that it would have been better for you just to pick one of your mediocre-ass projects, move it forward, try and sell it, and, hey, maybe people would have actually liked it. I don't know. Like, EA's a weird beast because they aren't the actual developers, they're the publisher, right? Like, they own lots of little studios that they kind of, like, farm out projects and funding to. And sometimes they do not allocate resources correctly. Mass Effect Andromeda. Which is a terrible shame, because I really love the Mass Effect series, but poor Andromeda. A rushed production, some of their work was, like, farmed out, contracted out to other ends of the main studio and was not necessarily executed correctly. I don't know. They are, I guess, fundamentally different, but Sony, how much money does Sony's specific computer entertainment branch make, right? Or electronic entertainment or whatever, right? Like, because they're a big deal publisher, and obviously Sony's a company with multiple arms because it's doing other stuff. They do, I don't know, phones, movies, other entertainment stuff that's in different departments. So, as far as I know, EA is just games. They just own games studios. They don't have, like, any other secondary markets. And I don't know how much, like, the computer entertainment arm of Sony can rely on other arms to do successful, but Sony has definitely been putting the money to release great products which are of a narrative basis. And have sold really well. When we talked about the Game Awards and stuff, how much of a big deal God of War and Spider-Man were, and that they were just well-written, well-produced games. In a single player, the action was good, but also the narrative was good kind of focus, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, if I was Sony right now, and you guys were hearing that EA was canceling another game, even if, I don't know if you consider Disney like a competing product, right? Because they make movies and stuff also.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was Sony Computer Entertainment, I would be like, man, if as soon as that EA license is up, or if that EA license gets pulled because they're not doing any work, I would want to snap that up in a heartbeat, because I would be like, fuck it, we'll put some of those guys who did stuff like, we'll find somebody between the guys who put out Spider-Man, Horizon, and God of War and whatnot. Maybe Guerrilla, who did Horizon, also did Killzone, which were very tight games. I loved Killzone 2 and kind of loved 3. The story of 3 was not as good, but there were more fun guns in it. But, like, get those guys on there, and they'd be like, we can make the single player, we can spend the money to make a single player dynamic Star Wars experience that people actually want, and we'll sell a shitload of them. Because they would. I honestly think they would, right?
Man,
also...
playing, like...
Well, go ahead.
Like, I remember playing the shit out of Force Unleashed.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
which was, I think, internal at LucasArts?
Yeah, I think it was. But
again, that was one of those cases where it was like, some, especially with the sequel was very rushed and like half finished. But
oh yeah, but it still had some memorable moments. But
the action and stuff was still super tight, right? Like it was super entertaining. And that guy Sam Witwer is like still a part of Star Wars now. He works in like Skywalker Sound and stuff. He voiced Maul in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I think he was actually his voice in the end of Solo. Whoop. Oh, by the way, Maul's in Solo, if you haven't seen that movie in the last 6 months.
Actually, I think it's on Netflix or something now.
It is now. It's gotta be. It's anyway. It's definitely on streaming services in some form. But yeah, he like stuck around and he really loves Star Wars and he does lots of cool stuff. So that's cool that he, because of that role, he got in deeper with Lucasfilm, and he actually, I think, really cares about the IP and the product, even if I don't think he can necessarily naysay some of its recent decisions. But yeah, God, Force Unleashed was really good. The problem is I don't know what the state the actual LucasArts quote-unquote studio is in.
Yeah.
Because first they went to, we're doing everything internal, we're no longer farming out the license. And then I think when the Disney buyout happened, they were like, yeah, we're not closing the LucasArts brands, but we're basically shuttering it. We're going to farm out the license. We're going to sign an exclusive deal with EA for the license. We're not going to produce anything internally, and the guys who are on LucasArts are going to go do other projects. Which is a shame, because LucasArts has also produced other famous video game IP in the past. But yeah, like external development, what I was going to say earlier was I am sure that some of the Japanese developers would love to get their grubby little hands on making some Star Wars shit.
Oh my god, that'd be
because
amazing.
I'm pretty sure they really love Star Wars over there. Square Enix is full of Star Wars references, and they have a working relationship with Disney thanks to Kingdom Hearts. And they have a lot of studios also, because they produce stuff like the new series of Deus Ex. Ultimately, Square Enix is Tomb Raider 2, isn't it right now?
Yeah, that's Eidos.
Yeah. Okay, that is. So that is.
Yeah, that's a subsidiary of Square Enix now. So yeah, so they have Western-based studios that could totally go into a fucking Star Wars franchise. But right now, I think like if Eidos was to come out tomorrow and says, "Yeah, we're totally doing a Star Wars game," everyone would like scream in horror. Because the last, I enjoyed the Tomb Raider reboot. It is not well loved, like honestly. A lot of people have shit to say about it, but so who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like that you could see that working relationship happening though, because Disney Interactive and Square Enix do have this long-standing relationship thanks to Kingdom Hearts. And we know guys at Square Enix in Japan definitely love Star Wars. That's why there are so many Star Wars references all the time at Final Fantasy. And just, yeah, no, like, that's a relationship I could see panning out, and that would be pretty good. Also, like, a lot of people joke about the stuff they want, like, let Arxis or Platinum do Star Wars.
Oh my god.
You'd get some shit then that would sell. Some people would buy that. I don't know if it would be necessarily what the license holder would think of as on brand, but you'd sell some copies.
Oh yeah.
I also I always constantly joke about letting the Chinese get at it and turn film props into waifus. Blaster's Frontline when. But seriously, though, like, if you want to talk about ongoing games that print money, like, a lot of these gacha-style games make a shitload of money, and some of them are not very good. It's been a while since the last Fire Emblem Heroes rant in our Discord, but they happen still, occasionally. Last time they did that, I joked that I would do the show entirely in text-to-speech. I'm not even going to get you guys in a voice channel, I said. I'm just going to take your posts and run them through text-to-speech, and I'm going to make that a new show.
You did that for something that Camper said, I remember.
Yeah, Camper had a perfect rant, and I ran it through, and I made a voice clip, and I'm just like, I had played it back to myself, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I could make this a show. Just literally let the computer read some of these people's angry thoughts about Fire Emblem Heroes. I've heard that even though I'm pretty sure it makes a lot of money, the Dragon Ball Z gacha game is also dog shit. Kingdom Hearts actually has a gacha game that I've also heard is like a pain in the ass. There's also a Final Fantasy one that I don't know. That's entirely separate or possibly the same. I don't know anymore.
There's a lot of fucking gacha games out there.
There
right?
are, and they're attached to popular stuff. Nintendo released a whole brand new IP with Dragalia Lost, and I'm just like, I like dragons, but I don't got any time for this. Every time I see those ads on Twitter, thanks Twitter. They've died down recently, but for a long time, anytime I pulled up Twitter on my phone, it was like the second or third tweet was always promoted. Try out this new RPG from Nintendo. I'm like, God damn it, Twitter. We've only been going for about an hour.
Yeah, well, I've been letting you go whole hog because I've barely said anything.
I know. I thought you were going to talk more about Unicorn, but you didn't. But I'm running out of voice power.
Yeah, I figured. Now we got to remember what the fuck I was going to talk about.
This is why we scribble things down on note cards.
But so speaking of movies and popular IPs and franchises, the Broly movie finally came out US and did real fucking good. So apparently it grossed more than $7 million on its opening night and literally was the number one movie for was the number one movie. This is literally the biggest opening night that Funimation has ever done, and I think it's in the top 10 of any animated movie, I believe. I can't remember. I don't have the details on me because I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this or not. Yeah, see me. Let me see here. But see here. That's good. I haven't seen the Broly movie. Like, a lot of people are saying it's real fucking good, but like I said, I've been kind of burnt out from Dragon Ball Z and Super and all that stuff for, like, I don't know. It's just not my thing anymore, I have to say. Oh. Let's see here. Sorry, I was leaning back yesterday because yesterday I was doing construction and I was like taking apart scaffolding and breaking it apart. So my body is screaming at me. It's like, why you move? Stop that. Lay down. I'm like, no. I gotta move. I gotta do stuff. I gotta type.
Rip.
But let me see here. What do I want to talk about? Unfortunately, I haven't played much video games recently. I've been playing Azure Lane. And it's the same there. Like, I'm trying to level up Amagi because I need to get my sick fox wife into the Sakura fleet so she may buff and debuff at her leisure. Looks like rip my new thing for Azure Lane is rip your dorm tokens because they keep releasing fucking limited sets. I'm like, no, stop this.
Yeah, they're doing a lot. They're also stepping up their costume cycling. I think we're gonna come back with like the lunar costumes.
Oh yeah,
for the lunar near you, obviously. So
yeah, but I need me some unicorn and kimono because she is Princess Emoto, and I must give her head pats and make her happy. Put her in more clothes because I am a Michan. I haven't really done anything with Girls Frontline. I'm barely logging in. Like, honestly, if it wasn't for, like, as I said, if it wasn't for the fact that I got the uncensored patch working, I probably would have quit by now. But I don't know. Doing the patch has put me back on a bit of an investment. And again, I'm like excited for the anime that's coming out because it looks ridiculous, and I like ridiculous things.
Oh yeah, One Fat Panda in our chat has posted that at least in other servers, they're gonna release HMS Sirius. So there's gonna be a new.
Yeah, she is.
fleet.
Yep. She is. She got some. How do I want to put this?
Frontal armor.
Yeah.
Also, she has a sword.
Swords are important. I'm not gonna lie.
Dido class light cruiser. That's interesting. Anyway, so that's HMS Sirius. Depending on how events work out for us in the English version, we may or may not get that ship already, because I think it's coming with a rerun of an event, at which we may or may not have gotten. So maybe they'll give us that actual event, and then also they'll give us a new ship. We'll see.
Yeah, it'd be nice because technically we're still behind the JP and Chinese servers because
we are not. Yeah, we are both. We are calling us behind is kind of a misnomer sometimes, but at the same time we're not on par because we haven't done some events that they have done. So we're in a weird like parallel dimension.
Yeah, like yeah, like the Duke of York event, because it says, like, Fat Panda saying, like, they're going to be doing a Duke of York event rerun here soon. So we might just get that as well, and they might throw in Sirius on top of that. Like, the thing I've been bemoaning mostly is that we don't have research. Because I want Izumo, which is a research ship, because she is Oni, and she is good Civ.
There are a lot of great research ships, to be honest. TBH.
Yeah, and I keep screaming at the game, give me beta. Did I explain? I explained beta.
Yeah, you've explained the story. I think it was last week specifically, but you've done it a couple times.
Yeah. I have a horrible memory. And, that could be a research ship. And,
actually,
they've also,
last week's episode's subtitle was "Stop Making Me Cry About Naval Vessels."
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was right. Derp, derp. But, oh, man, I lost my train of thought. God damn it.
Suddenly silence.
Yeah, that happens.
It's okay, we have editing.
But with Azure Lane, as I said, I'm still playing. I'm slowly farming. Like, I think I have do the final hard mission twice more, and I get the pagoda looking thing. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with it. I'm working on it's I almost got Graf Zeppelin up to level 100, so I'm about to she is about to have Boon. And I'm trying to get some of my Saga fleets up to Effect 100 so I can start throwing rings in. I got 5 promise rings that are just needing to go out.
Why? Why do you have so many rings?
I
said, why do you have so many rings?
Because I always buy the when the discount pack comes out, I always buy them. And I was waiting on. I said I'm funny, I'm weird. I wait for what I consider the right moment to ring a girl. Prince Eugene was a no-brainer for me because she was my first SR, and as I said, her absolute fucking defense and tankiness carried through me a lot of shit. So I'm like, no, you are precious to me. Then she actually has an oath skin, so I was like, yes. And then I worked really hard to get Kaga and Akagi. But the thing is because they're a pair, I want to ring them at the same time. And it's kind of funny because the way I internalize it is I need to ring them at the same time so they cancel each other out. Because Akagi is absolute heat and Kaga is absolute cold. It's just so yeah. Because they're both real possessive of you. It's
Stabs. There's that one. I forget exactly how to say his name. I think is it Citizen? There's a fan artist who does adorable gifs of both Azure Lane and Girls Frontline. And I downloaded a whole pack of them just to randomly throw them as reactions. Well, there's one of them for Akagi, which is just her knife.
Yeah.
Which references some of her dialogue, and it's just such a great.
Oh yeah, her oath skin, Akagi tries to put a collar on you and just I'm gonna need your sister to also be madly in love with me. So you can fight each other.
Yeah, it's Cicerin.
Yeah, Cicerin.
Great, now we've both made that sound.
As I one of my goal was to make a Sakura fleet full of brides. And so and it's actually doable because it's actually a pretty solid fleet because for your flagship you have Nagato, who has a no skin. She just hasn't come out yet. The event for her hasn't come out. You have Kaga and Akagi, the Fox sisters, who Nagato will actually buff along with everything else. Then for your Vanguard, you could have Atako and Takao. Atako, who just got her oath skin recently, so that works out. And then for Destroyer, you have Ayanami, who has an oath skin. So yeah, you can have a full brides fleet of Sakura girls that has a pretty good configuration together. And that's my goal. And then Amagi come out, and I'm like, oh my god, this girl.
Amagi's great, yeah. It's really good of them to make her basically the central viewpoint character of the event. And in a really robust way. They kind of did that with Fallen Wings, but at the same time, I kind of felt like Washington and North Carolina were just kind of there, right? I don't feel like they had a big personality imparted other than, we're going to shoot up some sirens, yay, freedom.
No,
everybody liked Enterprise Alter a lot more.
Oh yeah, it's just who is this?
A badass.
She's edgy.
What's going on with her?
Yeah. This event, definitely feels like there is, you understand the characters and their motivations and how they act a lot more.
it's really good writing considering it's a weird ship girl game where they just retell historical events, but with cute anime girls with huge guns.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, the writing has not been Azure Lane's strong point. It
No,
really hasn't
not
been
all
a
the time.
detriment. It's not really a detriment, but like at the same time, there was nothing that really got you like hooked or
Oh yeah,
invested.
no, we talked about this. I think when we started playing that, like the early, well, all of the story chapters, but especially the early story chapters, it's such a blatant telegraph of just the Pacific Front, like the naval history of the Pacific Front, and it's like it's not necessarily a robust or like diverse retelling of it. It's just, hey, by the way, some stuff happens in battles. You fight these ships. Somebody got sunk here. You know, blah blah blah. Transfer the eagle powers of freedom to Enterprise.
And then in the later, quote unquote story chapters, there isn't any text. You just keep going from node to node. Nothing
There's
happens.
nothing.
You're like, there's just nothing.
There's nothing but really hard battles that kind of make you hate yourself a little bit. Because you're like, God, I just want to keep advancing. I want to get more gems. I want to unlock more ships. But God, it's hard. But still, we really like Azure Lane. It's a really good system.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. It's a Girls Frontline. I said they're about to kick off a big event where you can get a 5-star shotgun girl, fucking Terminator, not actually Terminator, but
oh yeah, it's the shotgun model from Terminator, the lever action, and she does the spinning reload thing, like it's fucking cool. Marathon or something.
Yeah. So about to get down and busy with that because I want it.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of. I mean, I do have one 5-star shotgun. Is it? Do I have KSG? I got somebody. I don't remember which model it is. I can picture the girl in my mind. I don't remember what model her gun is right now. But I've got like one
4-star shotgun girls. No 5 stars. But as
I got like a couple 4 stars, and I got like a 1, or maybe I have like a couple 3 stars. I got like maybe 1 or 2 4 stars. But I have one 5-star who's in like my lowest level echelon training, and she's really rad. Yeah. But a lot of the shotgun girl designs are really cool, and it's such a terrible shame. They cost so much. Oh my god. Heavy construction. Also, hey, when the fuck are we gonna get ferries? That's a thing. They keep talking about that. It's like the research in Azure Lane. I know this is a gameplay system that exists. When are you gonna do that?
It's like what you holding out for? Like seriously, like that's the thing that's bugging me. It's like
you've alluded to this system. Like you have tooltips about using ferries. They're not in the game yet.
Like the ferry system is in the game. It's literally locked. And you're just like, no, we're just going to sit on this. I'm like, why?
I don't know. They need to find whatever the right moment in the app thing to introduce them. Whatever. I don't fucking know.
You see, like, with FGO, we can understand things because, they're doing things in, like, a specific release schedule.
Right. And like, FGO, for most systems, we understand, this is very clearly, like, an app update to do this, right? Yeah. Like, and some stuff they figured out how to do it because they based our client on basically the fork of the game in JP where it was 2 years in the future. But from that, there's been a very, like, hit or miss question of whether or not they can actually put this into the app without having to put all the shit that came before it. Like, I don't think we're ready to just slide in command codes, right? Like,
yeah,
that's a whole separate thing that has to be built out, which may or may not be its own code update they can just pull out and plug in.
Yeah, but as we've clearly seen, like, we've already been going out of order in Frontline and in Azure Lane, so I'm like, what's the schedule? Can we get a clue?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're more direct about their upcoming releases than FGO is. Like, usually, like, at the start of a month, you'll get a general idea, hey, we're doing this. Like, they've said they're doing Arctic Warfare for Girls Frontline for, like, several weeks now. But at the same time, you still don't know super in advance. And because they're not doing it in order, you can't use your clairvoyance powers to just predict. Also, I'm reminded of a funny story they were talking about in our Patreon chat. They're talking about getting builds. Somebody got London. This reminded me that I was just doing event missions, working my way through the stars, and I just randomly got an exit or on a drop. I'm like, neat. That's always fun when you get a purple out of nowhere.
Yeah, drops in Azure Lane are good.
Yeah, they're really great. I love them a lot. They're a little rando, but just they happen. Like, there was actually a joke meme about this for FGO where somebody posted like they were doing a daily. And,
I remember seeing that.
They snuck the image of King Hassan in there.
Yeah.
Like, God, I think we've talked about that before. Can you imagine just grinding out dailies and a servant drops? That's nuts.
That'd be ridiculous.
But yeah, we talked about gacha. We talked about some anime. We talked about Kingdom Hearts. By the way, Kingdom Hearts 2, having almost been done with it, it did actually hold up. It's really good. The wider field of view, the bigger map size, helps a lot. You get a lot of mobility abilities through Drive, which is a really fun system. So, like, you can maneuver in this space. The map designs are great. Most of the antagonist design is better. Like I said, I've completed most of the absent silhouettes. And most of them I couldn't take on the first run, but I was able to like come back in a couple worlds and beat them without too much trouble. The only one I haven't managed is I should have paid better attention in Chain of Memories. I always forget how to pronounce this. Is it Marluxia or Marluxia? I don't know.
I think it's Marluxia.
Yeah, probably. They like to emphasize the X for reasons. But that's the only one I haven't beat, and that's just because I have no idea how to deal with his second phase right now. It does one of those things where you get like halfway through the boss and they completely change behavior, and I just haven't yet had time and reps to figure out what to do in the next step. And the Kingdom Hearts 2 is decently forgiving enough and not necessarily takes forever enough to figure it out. Like, just because I couldn't remember if when you meet Sephiroth again, you immediately jump into the boss battle or not, because the journal is like, meet Sephiroth again as a pockmark. I'm like, okay, does that mean immediately go into a boss fight, or is there like an event to trigger that? No, you immediately go into the boss fight, but hey, guess what? If you're not ready for him, he kicks your ass really fast, and so you're just like, oh, I haven't got the levels for this yet. Or I don't have the extra abilities that I need, because you need a lot of those don't lose your life abilities. Because he does fucking nasty-ass combo strings. Lots of dropping you to 1 HP, that guy. But yeah, no, so like, I feel like the boss design is a little more forgiving, or a little more... It doesn't waste your time, right? Like, it's not like you're just waiting for a timing window, and if you fuck it up, he beats you up, and then you get a heal, right? It's like, now we'll do some fun stuff, and you can, like, actually... You usually can ride it out, but the game will also punish you for just slamming them with combos over and over again, so it's about finding the right moment, and it's about pacing yourself, and I think it's much better paced than Kingdom Hearts 1 was. And obviously, it's way better than Rechain of Memories was, because, like we said, or like I said anyway, Rechain of Memories was not a great port situation. Like, fighting Larxine's Absent Silhouette boss fight, once I just actually had time to get some levels and get some extra abilities, like I said, because beating the Absent Silhouette's first try is hard, but just after getting some decent levels and just kind of figuring out her attack patterns, and I think one of the things that helps is just having enough, like, defense and HP that you can actually live long enough to learn. Not hard at all. Rechain of Memories, she kicked my ass like 3 or 4 times before I managed to just bootstrap the RNG and throw enough cards in her face that I won, right? Like, it was a pain in the ass, and this one was not a pain in the ass. It was just like, she does this pattern, so I need to, like, dodge roll out of this, or I need to jump out of that. I can hit her here, that kind of thing. Here's when you guard, here's when you dodge, kind of stuff. It's very dynamic. I like it a lot. I'm super happy.
Yay!
All right, we are now at about an hour and a half, and like I said, I'm a little dry here. I'm running out of steam.
Yeah, as I said, like, I went into this expecting to talk about Let's Talk FGO. So I did not have notes ready to talk about Stoof throughout the week. So I kind of just been like, I'm just gonna shut up and let Omega go.
Which is kind of weird, because I was just gonna shut up and let you go. Whoops. Well, that's what happens when you unexpectedly switch the days. Do we want to just go ahead and wind this down?
Yeah, let's just wind this down.
There's no point in the whole point of the show is to talk until we stop talking. And if we're going to stop talking, let's just stop.
Yeah. No need to beat a dead horse.
All right. Deep cleansing breath, everybody. It's almost over. Hey, if you like this episode, go ahead and give it a like. That really helps the video out, helps the channel out. Makes us feel good about ourselves. Makes you feel good about yourself. You liked something. Good for you. If you have any comments about any of the stuff we've talked about, leave those in the comment section down below. And if you're new here and haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. And if you are already subscribed, don't forget that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video, because sometimes we'll try and trick you. And of course, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early, like this episode in audio podcast format, downloadable right away as soon as we're done editing it, which hopefully this won't take too long because it's shorter than usual. For as little as $1 a month. And lots of other stuff bundled in there. Plus we have goals that we're working on. You know, we're working towards a goal to start having Lucky record Bartending with Lucky.
Oh my god.
We're working on that. So check that out on our Patreon and other stuff. We also have merch. We don't promote it as much as we probably should to make it profitable, but it's there.
Oh, by the way, this is something I saw. Apparently, there's a way to put like shit that you're selling on Teesprees like in the description of your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
like,
you can. You have to be like monetized and have shitloads of subs and stuff first, though.
God damn it!
I know YouTube's annoying. I've looked at that before. You can do ad integration like we do in our end card. If you wait until wait until you see the patron credits at the end. If you wait a little bit longer, usually by the time we get to the second slide, I think is the time when the end card pops up. That'll have links to usually it's whatever playlist the video is in, and then some other video that's recent that's relevant or connected to it. And then I put our sub button and then our Patreon button. So you can just wait to the end of the video and jump right into our Patreon if you're on like mobile or something. They have lots of integrations like that. It's just a lot of them are like locked behind like size or integration or that's what I'm looking for. Not integration. Whatever the involvement is. I forget the word. I can't think of it right now. I'm not tired. I'm just not good at talking. We will continue to expand on those fronts, but as soon as YouTube lets us. Anyway, this has been What's Up for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. We yelled about some stuff. And now we're going to...
I'm going to go watch this new video about Anthem now.
Yeah. We're going to watch some videos. I don't know, depending on how fast this turns around, we may have time to play a game tonight. We'll see.
We'll see.
That's how the show ends. We'll see.